Well, hello there, my dear viewers and listeners. This will be a slightly different video from others. You see, one of my Patreon supporters, going by the name of Ad, made a suggestion for a video asking which races of the Covenant would be a great addition to the Tau Empire, with a limit of choosing only 2 species from the whole bunch. And, at first I just thought, well, if we are going with a limit of 2 only, let's get the best of the best, the most useful and the most skilled. The engineers and the elites. Seemingly obvious choice, a no-brainer. That was my initial thought. But then I stopped and actually thought for a moment. You see, the Sangheli are great for many reasons. They are a martial civilization with understanding of advanced tactics, they have a strong sense of duty, and they are quite smart, which is one of their greatest assets. But they also have really dumb traditions. Yeah, after the success of my Halo videos, I decided to catch a few Halo books to get more acquainted with the deeper lore material. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't ignorant of the Halo lore. I played the games, watched animated series, listened to some lore videos, and so on, but I didn't really get too deep into the Halo books beforehand. But after I did, I found Sangheli traditions to be quite dumb in some regards. For example, they believe that if you draw a weapon, you need to use it, because it demands blood. Is it just me, or does it sound like a talk of a corn worshipper? Oh, here is another great example. Did you know that they see their blood as honor? Literally. If they get hurt and they bleed, they see it as if it was their literal honor bleeding out of their bodies, losing it forever. And this goes along with some really dumb superstitions regarding getting medical attention if you are hurt. Apparently, this warrior race ain't really fond of medics, which sounds very sustainable. I hope you can hear the sarcasm in my voice. When I learned about those details, I knew that the elites would be a poor match for the Tau. Why? Because the fire caste cuts their own body and uses their blood in many of their traditional ceremonies and rituals. Hell, the Talisera, the ritual of bonding where the Tau declare each other as soulmates, that they are one and the same, includes cutting your own body and body of your bone mate and mixing the blood of all members of the ritual. And those who are more familiar with the deeper Halo lore can correct me, but I have a strange feeling that the elites wouldn't look too fondly at that tradition. So a cultural clash is one big reason to say no to the conversion of elites, but there is another, even bigger one. Sangheli, with their martial history and might, believe themselves best to be in charge of a military. If they joined the Tau, they would attempt to replace the Fire Warriors, question their authority, or try to prove themselves so superior to them that the Ethereals would abandon the Fire caste. Their pride often stands above their reason, something the UNSC managed to exploit more than once during the Human-Covenant War, so I wouldn't trust them not to shake the balance of power within the Tau Empire too much. So, to surprise of many, Sangheili are not the best choice here. They have many advantages, but their traditions and pride would be a lot of a problem to deal with. Thankfully, my first choice of Huragok remains stable. Taking in the engineers is a no-brainer. Factory must grow and all that. The Earth caste would love them, and I'm sure the poor floating space jellyfish turtle aliens would find a far more pleasant and friendly atmosphere working with the Tau rather than under the boot of a Covenant. So, with one spot remaining open, let's look at our options. Sanshayun, the Prophets? Bloody useless. They wouldn't bring anything of real worth to the Tau. Watercast, Ethereals and Earthcast already do their work, and arguably far better than them. The Leggolo? The Hunters? Kinda overrated. Destructive warriors, but outside of that military implementation, their potential is rather limited. And the Tau already have battlesuits, so why would they need a war-based battlesuit-like unit? Yanmi? The drones? Nothing extraordinary. The Tau already have access to hive species, with Vespid sharing a lot of similarities with the drones, but being far superior warriors both in terms of personal strength, melee potential, and weaponry. Sure, the drones can be used as workforce, but the Tau do have alternatives for that task. King Jar? The Jackals? Too opportunistic. Not trustworthy in the slightest. I could see Tau working with them, using them as mercenaries, but making them a full member of Empire? Hell no! The moment there is a better deal on the market, they would take it. Ungoi? The Grants? Reproduce like crazy, not too smart, can be used in labor and military. Overall, Tau would get quite a deal with them. In fact, if I'm being honest, I kinda see them as slightly more useful than even Sangheili. Having the ability to match the Imperium or maybe even orcs with the numbers of soldiers you can deploy can prove useful. But here is the thing. Tau like to control the growth of their overall population, and despite what memes will tell you, no, they do not tend to sterilize people. With Grant's desire to breed faster than rabbits comes not only the problem of controlling those little bastards, but also potential threat of, gene stealers. The alien menace that wants your population to breed uncontrollably on a mass scale. Can you even imagine what a grand gene stealer cult would look like? How many of those bastards there would be? Hell, with how fast the Grants can start to reproduce, you will have entire army of pure strain gene stealers at your doorstep within a decade, if not sooner. Unlike something akin to few decades if they affected the human population. So yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but the funny short-stack lizard ain't worth the risk in my opinion. Not to mention that while quantity has a quality of its own, the Grants aren't good enough to be one of two species converted to the Tau Empire. Which leaves objectively the best species of them all. Objectively best because I said so. The Jiralhane, the Brutes. Now, some might be surprised by this choice. After all, the Brutes are, you guessed it, quite brutal and not very smart. But they are also great warriors, can be used in manual labor, are just smart enough to follow orders, but usually not smart enough to get some funny ideas. Their strength and toughness can easily match, if not outmatch, that of the orcs, making them amazing shock troopers, and they are tough enough to withstand a lot of punishment. And while they are brutal and savage in many ways, they aren't more savage than the Krut, with whom Tau work along quite nicely. They also lack any confusing traditions of elites. I am quite confident that the Firecast could establish good working relations with the Jiralhane and not antagonize them like the Sangheili did. The Brutes would take a similar role to that of a Krut in the Tau Empire, that of shock troops and melee units. Seeing how the Jiralhane overwhelmed even some Spartan stews in terms of their strength and speed, I'm sure they would prove an amazing counter to Space Marines and Orcs. On top of all that, if a very intelligent leader would appear in their ranks, someone like Aatrox, I would expect them to be treated far better than in the Covenant. Tau are known to create so-called elemental councils to make difficult decisions or accomplish difficult tasks. Traditionally, it is made of all Tau castes and at least one member species of the Empire. I'm sure an intelligent brute like Aatrox could sit even on the High Elemental Council, which are usually leading entire expansion fleets. Such position would give him the respect, recognition and prestige that was never given to his kind in the Covenant. At least not when the elites were still part of it. So yeah, here is my final verdict. If I were to choose two species from the Covenant to be added to the Tau Empire, I would choose the Huragok, the Engineers, the Tech Savants, and the Jiralhane, the unappreciated, brutal warriors. But what is your opinion? Who you would choose? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and ring that bell. If you can, support me on Patreon, where you get access to additional content, voting power, and as you can see, you can ask me to make a video on a very specific subject. If you prefer to give me a singular donation, even a small one, coffee is also open. With all that said, I thank you for joining me and I hope you enjoyed. Now, my dear viewers and listeners, remember, wherever you are, whatever you do, try to enjoy yourself while you can. I wish you most heretical day. Ta-ta!